We're getting there. We're already live on Twitch. Facebook is loading up, so we'll see how. Yep, there it goes. Hi. Okay, hi everyone. It is Monday, April 20th, and we are starting the second month. Oh my gosh. So week 5. So what happens in week 5? I guess I'm a little less nervous. Andy and I are a little more prepared to do this. We have a great routine going. He gives me a 15-minute countdown, and you know what? It's you turn things on as you go, and the checklist. Anyway, so that's what's great about week 5. Lots of things going on. I'm currently twitching uh, as we speak. Many of you guys have moved over to Twitch, which is great. Hello, Twitch, and noticing the quality, the video quality over there is a lot better than what you get on Facebook, which is very interesting. Even when we're using the same camera, it's better on Twitch, as we were testing out this weekend. If you have not gotten on Twitch yet, you might want to take a look. There's a lot of really fun stuff on there. I'm starting to learn a lot of things about the Twitch community outside of the scary gamers who are there. Not so scary. It's just a little bit different for the rest of us who don't do it. But it's a really great place to hang out and look for fun new things. And I'm finding that there's quite a community there, and we're starting to reach people outside of the U.S., which is like so exciting. I didn't think this was going to happen, and I really didn't know what I was going to get by going to Twitch. It was just sort of an experiment, and it was brought up by a couple people, so why not, right? So trying to reach out to as far as I can. So that's what's looking forward. We're getting close to becoming an affiliate at Twitch, and I'll get you guys all that information as soon as that happens and I cross over that line. I'm hoping in the next day or two that that's where we are. So anyway, let's see. First Zoom session is this Friday. If you are registered, thank you. For everybody else, I've shut down registration for live interactive class because I believe I've met my max. I don't know if I can really handle many more than those who have registered. And so if you're interested in the class, you can definitely still buy the Zoom, and it will be available for you to preview after the class. So like this Saturday. So class is on Friday. Okay. So today we have Minimal Mental Monday. Our series continues of projects that are based on the book. Just wanting to continue to keep getting everyone inspired for what you can do with very little. 18 gauge and 16 gauge wire is always on the project, and a couple of other things here and there to make it a little bit more interesting. So let's get moving. Okay. If you're looking for instruction sheets, that is available. I put links up on the Facebook Live details here, so you can see. I'm sorry, so you can get links to all the instruction sheets and whatever tools we're using if you need to make any purchases. I see the question here that asking about where we're chatting. We are chatting on both. Andy's going to be responding where he can on both. Actually, Andy can't exactly respond on Facebook. He can only like your post and acknowledge it and let me know that you've asked. And he is also watching the Twitch chat so that he knows what's going on, and he's relaying that to me because I can't see that at all. So really the choice is whatever you feel is the clearest view, okay, is clearest video is what I would choose if I was on your side. So if Facebook isn't working for you, because I know that for several people, Facebook is just not coming through very sharp, and they're finding that Twitch is really sharp, so they're going over there so they can see the projects a little bit better. You don't need to see my face really sharp, but I think it would be nice if the projects came out really sharp, right? So that's hopefully I've answered that question for you. Okay, so I'm going to switch the camera, and let's go to the projects. Okay, hold on. Okay, and switch here. All right, so let's go through all of the materials that we need, all the tools that we need to make this happen. Sorry, I'm gonna make one more little quick adjustment here. Okay, oops. Yeah, sorry. Okay, I think that's better. All right. Okay, sorry. Still figuring out this camera thing. All right, so here what you're going to need today that's going to make your life a lot easier is you're going to need a multi-looping plier, but you can also use mandrels if you have, or dowel rods or mandrels. Bow opening plier is a maybe, that's an optional. Definitely a good pair of cutters. I've got some Lindstrom Ultra Flush here. A chain nose is nice. Heavy duty, Kiba heavy duty cutters, optional, but it'll make life a lot easier. A bench block, a file, a bigger file instead of a small needle file. It'll make life go faster. A mallet and a coiling gizmo. We'll go through that here too. All right, that's all the tools. I have them listed on the details if you need any of these tools. I'm going to set these aside, get rid of my board, and start working. You'll need a solder setup, of course, because all the projects are soldering. However, on Wednesday, we're going to do something different. We're going to walk away from soldering for a day and do some cold connections. Okay, so that's going to be on Wednesday, and we'll do some cold connections there. All right. So the project again today is concentric links. What do you use these for? I just thought it was really fun just to make something that you can use as a component for other pieces. So that's what that's just the project of what we can do. You'll need 18 gauge wire. We're going to use that for the coil, and then 16 gauge wire for the rainbows, we'll call them, for the half circles, and then some Bali beads for the middle. All right. I had some requests for Bali beads because I don't know why, I just assumed that everybody had them in their arsenal, and but apparently not everybody does. So I put together a mixed kit of Bali beads. If you want to just get a few to play around with, so you can make like those toggles that I made a couple of weeks ago. The link is also there on the description, so you'll have it. Okay. So first things first, you're going to need to create a coil for the center, like so. All right. So many ways of doing this. You just really need a dowel rod of sorts. And here I'm using the 1.85 dowel rod from the Coiling Gizmo to create my coil. You can go bigger or smaller, no problem, whatever suits you. And in fact, you can use whatever wire you want to too. You can go down to a 20 gauge wire if you wanted to, just to make smaller pieces. Why not? But for me, it's easiest just to use this Coiling Gizmo. And I'm going to move it over. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to adjust the camera. Not really sure. Okay, so bear with me. Okay. Whoops. I don't think this is going to work either. It's going to fall over. Yep, the camera's going to fall over. There it is. Sorry. Hopefully it'll stay right there. Can you see that? Okay. Twitch camera. We're playing with two cameras today, so okay, so Twitch camera cannot see, so we're going to give you a little, okay, so you can see, oh, there you go. So this is a Coiling Gizmo. It comes with a bracket, like so, and it comes with these dowel rods, okay? And I'm going to show you what it does here in a second. I'm going to put it on my vise. Now, also, it comes with a screw. You're supposed to screw this into your workbench, but since this is not exactly a permanent workspace here, I don't want to do that. I would normally screw it into the other workbench that's sitting behind me. Okay, so here we go. What you do is you're going to put this into the two holes that are there. And then you take the wire. Let's see, I'm sorry. Move this to my right. Yeah. Of course, I dropped the wire. Okay. So on this back end, you're just gonna sort of work it in so that it holds it. Let's see. See, can you see that? Okay, and then it's gonna coil on this end. Can you see that? So I'm gonna coil this way. And then I'm gonna put this back in here. And actually I'll do it from this side so you can see what's going on. We'll do it left-handed. And there's two holes here, one for each size of the mandrel that comes with the set. Okay, and you're just going to hold it like so and start coiling. You want the wire to go up against the bracket and just hold it tight like so. And it starts coiling for you. Oops, lost my wire. So I have a link for these also if you don't have one. It's great. It's just really, it's a great little tool to get you coiling or making coils really, really easily. But we do have these available. And you want this to be coiled as tight as possible. If you're having a problem with this, you can go ahead and anneal the wire. That will help you too. And believe it or not, 10 inches of wire makes only about 1.5 inches of coil. Okay, so notice how I did that, and voila, I have a coil. Not a great coil, but because I slipped or whatnot, you'll figure it out. It's easy. Okay, and we'll just pull it off. All right, I'm going to take this away and move the camera one more time. And we'll move you guys down to over there on Twitch. All right. So there's my coil. And I'm just going to set that aside. Okay. Next, I'm going to make the little half circles. Very simple. I've already annealed some wire here. And it's actually scrap. So starting from the 4th smallest size, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm just going to make a U. Just bend it around and make a U. See? Make sure you guys see that too. All right. So there's my U, and then I'm going to trim it. And I gave myself a lot of playroom on there because it's just copper. I know. I'm a little more conservative when it's silver though. And then again, bend this one around, just like so. I'm doing 2 at a time. When I'm doing pairs, I have a tendency to work 2 at a time so that everything is nice and even. Okay. And then I'm going to take another one and go to the next size up and do the same. I'm going to end up with 4 half circles. And we're just going to repeat that. So if you were looking for the instructions, I just posted them today. Then we go to the 3rd one. Did I do that the right size? Huh, I made it the same exact size. Oops. Oh, I skipped a size. That was my bad. I skipped the middle size. And then we'll do that middle size again. Okay, then I'm going to go to a 3/8 dowel rod for the outside one. Let's see. So just a wooden dowel rod because this is not quite big enough. And continue to make these U's, these half circles, whatever you want to call it. And again, working in pairs, making 2 of each. And then I'm going to place it on my bench block, make sure they're nice and flat. So we're using 16 gauge wire for the U's and 18 gauge wire for the coil. Yep, these are fairly flat. Let's match these up. So then I'm going to work in descending size and I'm going to nest them together. So for the wood dowel rods, you can get them at Michael's or even Home Depot. So here comes, I made my U, you can probably see it better there, a little bit too round. So I'm just going to use my bow opening pliers to open that up just a little bit. Okay. Let's see. The big one. I feel like I've made a couple the same size, but that's okay. We're just going to press them out. So again, I'm just working them in just to nest them. And if it got springy on you, then all you need to do is anneal it and pickle it, which mine has. From just, you know, it work hardens as you're working with the wire, it work hardens a little bit. So these are a little springy, but I just wanted to match them up and see where I'm at with them. I feel like I made 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I feel like I made a couple the same size. So I'm going to fix that here. Okay. Let's anneal that because they got springy. And I want them to lay really flat and I want them to be really pliable. Oh, another sister-in-law has joined us today. That's 3 sister-in-laws. How many do I have left? Let's see. I only have 2 left, right? Who hasn't seen this? That's pretty exciting stuff. So, hi, Michelle. Thanks for sharing the video. Really appreciate it. I don't know if you're watching on Twitch or Facebook, but I'm going to assume it's Facebook. I'm quenching on the side here, because the wires got a little bit too springy. So, and I want to be able to do that a little bit more easily. Okay, let's back on here and let's play with it a little bit more and just push them in. Ah, look at that. How nice. Yep, they go right in. So as soon as they get springy on, you just anneal it. Just save yourself the grief. Okay. And this one is a little bit big. So I'm just going to bring it in just a little bit, make it a little bit smaller. And so that fits inside. You know, it's funny, as soon as I go live, things sort of, I feel like they sort of fall apart. I don't know why. And so, there we go. Okay, so they fit, we're good, I'm happy. I'm going to stick these into, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. And that will work just fine. I'm going to stick these in the pickle before soldering. While that's pickling, I'll work this one. Make you a little bit smaller too. And again, the bend is a little severe, so I'm going to straighten that out. Make it more of a U than a C, right? Oh, hey, so we got a suggestion from some of the ladies to use knitting needles for dowel rods. That's a great idea. That is a really great idea. And then you have, I'm sure many of you who knit have different size needles, and there it is. It's already in your descending sizes, which is great. You know, when I'm trying to make something like this, I'm always just looking around. A pen will work, whatever it is that I can get my hands on is what I'm using to make it work. Okay, so see? Oops, do it like this. Okay. You know what? You're right about the white paper. I apologize. I totally forgot about the white paper today. That was sort of new. Hold on. I'm going to go get it while we pickle. Okay. Sorry, it's not a habit yet to use the white paper on a bench block because, you know, who does that? So while it's pickling, I just had some leftover fine silver bezel wire here. I'm going to cut a little bit out and we're going to make granules out of that. Okay. Okay, so we're going to heat that up just to make a granule. Move said paper over just in case I light something on fire. And just on the solder board here, we're just going to heat up, again, just some fine silver scrap to make the ball. And that's a humongo ball I made. So you can use a soldering board, you can use a magnesia block, you can use charcoal, whatever makes you happy, whatever you have on hand. Oh, I made 2 huge balls. I like to grab it before it's completely cool so that it doesn't stick to the bottom of my board. If it does, just do a little sanding, okay? Set those aside. And I'm going to grab my pieces out of the pickle. And I have a surprise in my pickle. Do you ever lose your pieces in the pickle? It would seem that I have. And I just found them. So I'm using the little baby mallet today because I'm doing little baby pieces. So there's my first one. He's already nested. And I'm going to redo the other one because it sort of fell apart. And notice all of a sudden they populated. That's because I found extra pieces in my pickle. Whoops. I was looking for those earlier. Okay, there we go. And there's another piece. And then this last one. So notice it's sort of struggling a little bit. So I'm just going to use my tools and push it into place. And they'll find themselves. I'm using a chain nose just to move that into place. This needs to be a little tiny bit smaller. Just a hair. So move it together, just pushing the U together a little bit. Okay, there it is. Can you see that? And I'll let you guys see that over here. So this one isn't quite as nice as the other one, but that's okay. We'll work it. And just Obviously it adjusted. We'll adjust it right back. And then we're going to solder. Do you need to put solder on the whole thing? No, you don't. You just need to put solder on the ends and make sure that it stays in place. So you do need these little end wires here along the edge to be touching, because if not, they are not going to solder, right? The solder would just flow. I always say don't spread it like peanut butter. You don't need to spread solder paste like peanut butter. Well, in this case, I'm going to say spread it like peanut butter. Just spread it all over the place, because this is going to be the back, and I personally don't care what it looks like on the back. I just need to make sure that there's enough solder on here between these joints to make it stay together. I'm using a fairly decent amount, because what's going to happen is the solder is going to run in between all of these joints, and that's why I'm using a little bit extra. So I'm using copper solder because I'm doing copper. If you're doing silver, you're going to start with hard solder, right? A little solder there, a little solder there. I'm going to trim these pieces after I solder anyway. So if you have been watching, I use a lot of solder paste because the flux is already built into it. So it's a one-step deal. I don't have to worry about it. Okay, so I've made a fine mess out of my U's, and I'm just going to move it back. I'm finding recently that I'm using these fine tweezers more and more. It's becoming the must-have tool to have on my workbench. And heck, for $3, it's a good thing. Okay, there it is. And if you were watching, I'm pushing it down with the back end of my tweezers because some of it's a little bit wobbly. All right, and then we're going to solder. If you have any questions, do go ahead and post it. Andy is relaying it to me in my ear. So I'm just going to heat this around. Remember, if you're using silver, you're going to use hard solder. And here we're just going to use copper solder. Copper solder self-level, so we don't have to worry about the different levels of solder. There it is. It's good. Okay. Quench it. And I'm going to trim it. And here's where the Kiba cutters come in. That's really nice to have because you can cut all of them in one shot. I would not be doing this with my Lindstroms because it's way too light to be cutting something this heavy at this point. So do be careful with that. So I'm going to cut straight across to make sort of a rainbow of sorts. You see that? Okay. So we just got asked for a close-up of the Kiba cutters. Here they are. Okay. It's great because it'll cut through, let's see, 2.3. I believe that's 10 gauge wire. Hold on. There we go. So for everybody out on Twitch, there you are. And then I'm going to try to match these up because they should be even, you know. So I'm putting them on top of each other and I'm going to trim it. I keep going to the left because that's where my scrap is. So this needs to be trimmed a little bit more because I want these to be even. But that's sort of up to you. Okay, and then into the pickle they will go. And you can also just do this on one side. Okay, throw it in the pickle. So this piece, if you didn't like the two, we'll call them wings, you can just do it as one like this and have it hanging with just the, you can put a chain through it and just use that as a pendant. You can even hang this upside down like so, right? Oops. Let's see. You can hang it like this and make it a pendant go this way too if you want to use it as a pendant, right? So whatever, I mean, there's so many things. If you want to, you can link these up and make them into a bracelet. So my t-shirt today, if you had noticed, for everybody out on Twitch, it says hammered. And yes, that's what we do over the weekend, right? We get hammered these days. But actually, which brings me to, if you want to, a design choice here is you can hammer these half circles and give it a little texture. So that's an option also. All right, drying them off. And there you have it. If you have sharp edges, I would file these at this point. And just make sure you take some of that down. Make sure you brace your hands when you do that. And you'll do it to both of them. All right, so grab the coil that you made and estimate what you need to take off. Let's see, cutter. And I'm just going to cut myself a coil, like so. Let's see, it's a little long, but that's okay. Okay, so here, I want the ends to point down instead of pointing up because it makes for a cleaner look than to have the ends on the upside. So I'm just going to be careful with what I'm doing here and just pay attention to what down actually looks like as I'm trimming it. Okay. So Andy's noticing a lot of new viewers on Facebook. So thanks for dropping in. Want to let you know we're also simulcasting these lives on Twitch, and there might be better video over there. Okay. So here I have the size. It's even to the outside of my, I'll bring it up for you to see. It's even to the outside of my half circles. And let's see if you can see that out on Twitch too. Okay. My Twitch handle is QFomGray. So now I'm going to go ahead and solder this coil because I don't want it to come apart. And again, I know this is totally against anything I've ever said in a class, but you know, different situations call for different techniques. I'm going to put a little bit of solder on the ends at the very least, and then I'm going to smear this across the bottom here. So this is definitely going to be my bottom. Okay, and yep, this time smear it like peanut butter, like I always tell you not to do. All right, so this is going to roll on me. I already know that. So I'm going to grab a honeycomb with pins, and I'm going to pin this in place just to keep it from rolling because I want the solder to stay on one side. Okay, there it is. Let's solder that. And again, notice I'm just moving slowly. I'm not doing this. A lot of people do this. There's no reason for that. We're using a butane torch. If you're using an acetylene oxygen torch, perhaps you need to move a little bit quicker. But with the butane torch, it's not necessary. Okay. So I'm soldering the coil because I just don't want to uncoil on me. And that's why it's there. Don't grab the pins, they're hot. I'm going to quench those just in case, so I don't grab them by accident, because we all know that's not pretty when that happens. Okay, so now we're going to put this back on. The coil went into the pickle for to be cleaned up, and while we wait for that, I'm going to put some solder on the end of my half circle. The question is, will a pumice bowl work also? For the coil, yes, but for this next one, no, because you're going to have a hard time setting it flat, okay? Because the pumice is not, it's a lot of grains running around. So solder on each side of the half circles. If you're doing silver, you're going to medium solder. And I'm just going to place it right there nearby. And I'll push it up to the coil here once I put the coil down. Okay, coil coming out of the pickle. Drop my towel. I feel like I have the dropsies today. Dropping everything. Okay. I sort of feel like I want to get a fanny pack too, so I can just put things in my fanny here, because I don't have a drawer, but I think the drawer is coming. I'm hoping. Okay, so again, I'm facing the ends down, putting it right in the middle and pushing the pieces together. And I'm going to go ahead and pin it in place. Oops. Just for extra measure. You don't necessarily need to do this. You can do this on a soldering board, but I just want a little bit of security here. Okay. Okay. And then go ahead and solder this, or if you want to, you can put on your Bali pieces with some solder and solder that at the same time. But I'm going to do it in 3 steps today. So remember, the halves were done in hard, and the coil was done in hard also, and then you go to medium. If you're doing copper solder, it's just the one solder. So we heat the whole thing, and I'm going to watch for it to solder right there in the middle to the coil. Notice I'm heating right in the middle at the coil because I want it to come towards the coil. Okay. Remember, solder follows heat. So wherever it is hottest is where it's going to solder, where the solder will run. This is copper solder, so it needs just a minute to set. And I see this one did not solder, so I'm going to heat it again, see if I can get that to happen here. Pray to the demo gods. I don't think that happened on this side. All right, we're going to find out here in a second. Set the pins aside, quench them if you need to. Maybe. You know, just because I pick it up and it's together now doesn't mean it's going to come out of the pickle together. Oh, it did. Look at that. All right, into the pickle it goes. These have been sitting on the board, just making sure they're not hot. You know what? These are too big. So what's really great is I have these great heavy-duty kiba cutters. I'm just going to cut them in half and make them again. Try not to cut my finger while I'm at it, but hey. Let's see, look at that. Look at that. Okay. And you couldn't do these with the Lindstroms. You would absolutely break them. Actually, you would break most cutters if you were to try this because it's so heavy. Okay. Make them round again. So I know some of you have figured me out and found me on Twitch over the weekend. I've been playing a lot instead of these classes with a lot of instruction on the weekend. I'm sort of playing on the bench and people are following along. It's just been sort of fun and to be able to chat with people while I work. There, it's you know, it was something that Periscope was hoping to be, and I know Periscope sort of died off. I was hoping that I started Periscope a long time ago, and that sort of just died. And that so I'm hoping that Twitch is its replacement. So it just came out of the pickle, and I'm gonna dry that up a little bit. Okay, there it is. So now you'll put down some easy solder and or just some copper solder again. Just gonna put it right there where I will place my Bali bead. So I'm just working on this. So this was a honeycomb soldering board was the question, and I'm just working on a soldering board here. The reason, and I'm using a solderite board, which I normally don't use. I just use a regular soldering board that we carry, which is actually Hardy board, but because it's that dark gray color, you can't see what I'm doing. So the white board has allowed us, especially in this video time that we are in, that it's allowed us to that allowed everyone to see better what I am doing. So the original one that you see in the picture were triangles. I'm just using scrap, so I'm using stars at this point. And then I put the Bali bead right on top of the solder just now that I placed, and I'm going to grab the granule and put a little bit of solder on the back of it and put it in the middle of that spacer. Okay, so you would be doing this again with easy solder. All right. So I'm going to heat this whole thing and just focus on one side, and then I'll go to the other side. Make sure that actually solders. I'm looking for flow. I'm looking to see that the solder has flowed and looks like liquid metal. And that's how I know that it has soldered. Now you must be careful when you're using, there it goes. I saw that better than I saw this one. When you're using these little Bali spacers, you cannot go overheating this, because what's going to happen is you're going to release all of their solder. So that's why I don't like putting on the Bali spacers or Bali beads until you get to the easy part of the solder, because you don't know what kind of solder they use, so you don't want to risk opening those solder joints back up. Okay. Can you use hill tribe beads? Absolutely. Understand that hill tribe beads are made of fine silver, but it's not a big deal. You can absolutely use those. Okay. Now let's give you a little bit of history on Bali beads. Bali beads came from Bali, Indonesia. All right. At some point, they were knocked off and they're being manufactured in India. So that's the difference. For a long time, and actually probably still is true, that it's really hard to find genuine Bali beads, because everything else really lists as Bali style. Okay, and so there is a very distinct difference in quality of craftsmanship when you get real genuine Indonesian beads versus the stuff that's made in India. So that's where all of this came from. Now, another thing too that you want to be aware of is, I don't know, about 7 years ago, when silver hit an all-time high of like $50 an ounce, right? These vendors started cheating. Seriously. They started making these beads, calling it sterling, when it was actually like, I don't know, 80% maybe. And sometimes it wouldn't even be that much silver. Sometimes it's plated, so be aware of that. It's still running around. The stuff is still out there, and it's just sort of crazy. So we're out of the pickle. There we are. And you can go ahead and put this in liver sulfur to patina. I'm going to do a quick heat patina and see if I can get this to make funky purple colors. It's been my jam this weekend. So hold on. Let's see. Let's give it a try. So if you're going to heat patina, word to the wise, don't overheat it because you're going to unsolder everything. So heat patina, simply applying a little bit of heat. Oop, see, it's already changing. Remember, the board is still hot, so it is still causing a patina effect. And you want to heat under where you want to be. So when you're heating this, it starts to go orange to red to purple to blue to silver to brown. So if you want that purple color, you only want to heat it to red and it should turn purple for you. So notice I'm doing it very gently and slowly. Just a little bit of heat here, a little heat there. And I'm looking and I'm waiting for those color changes to happen. And you can see it on the screen. And it's starting to turn purple here. I'm going to put a little more heat there. And I'm going to pull it off. Okay, do not quench this. Do not quench this. Okay, the reason why is because it will take all this color away. You need to set it aside. All right, can you see that? I think it's pretty cool. It's got little purples in it, little blue in it, and let's see if you guys can see that there out on Twitch. So there it is. All right. Any questions? That's a quick project today. Very quick. Pretty exciting. So if you don't have any questions, let's see. Wednesday we're going to do, what are we doing? Oh, we're doing cold connections, so come back for that. Friday it's going to be a Zoom, and registration has now closed for that for the live portion of it, but you can definitely still get the video for starting Saturday if you want to watch the video and follow along. Same thing for next Friday. I already have a project ready for minimal metal Monday, for next Monday, and I'm going to post that in the next day or so. We were working on it yesterday. It might just be, actually, let's see if we can see this one. It might just be this one. I'm digging this. I don't know. You can totally do so much with this. And let's see, Twitch people. Okay. There we are. So see, you can see this here out on Twitch. Okay. Anyway, so that's it. It's a beautiful day today. Yay! No snow, which means the curse has been broken. Last week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, snow. What the heck? I was thinking we were cursed. So today, beautiful, beautiful day outside. So hopefully it's beautiful where you are. You can go out there and enjoy it. Thank you everyone who is coming here for the first time. Thanks for joining me. If you find any value in what you're seeing, please consider contributing. I have put up a link up there for you. If you'd like a download of today's video as far as the instruction sheet, I did post a link on the description for you too. So outside of that, today is Monday, therefore Wednesday we'll see you at 1 p.m. for some cold connections. Bye, have a great day.